Hello everyone. Uh, Today I am going to start cardiovascular system. So I will start with cardiac examination and first parameter is pulse. Pulse is palpable pressure waveform that is created by cardiac systole and travel through arterial system towards periphery. So any abnormality in the cardiac system or arterial system both will be reflected in the pulse and it travel 10 times faster than blood column. And in pulse examination you have to see for presence and absence of the pulse rate, rhythm, volume, characteristic of the pulse, then radio radial or radio femoral delay, and last is equity of the pulse on both side. And vessel wall is usually not appreciable in the children. Then radial pulse is the most common assessed pulse due to ease of access. It is assessed using the index, middle, and ring finger. And if the radial pulse is feeble or not palpable, so we can try in larger arteries like femoral and carotid artery. In neonate, brachial and femoral is preferred, and femoral pulse may be diminished in correction of aorta and hypoplastic left heart syndrome. Similarly, pulse is weaker or absent in Takayasu artery. The other arteries to be palpated are popliteal artery, posterior tibial artery, dorsalis pedis artery, and temporal artery. One more thing in radial pulse examination is the wrist should be slightly flexed and forearm should be in slight pronation position. Then second parameter is pulse rate. Pulse rate varies with age and condition of the child. Normal pulse rate ranges from 120 to 160 in preterm and 100 to 140 in term babies. Then 100 to 120 in age group of 1 month to 1 year, and 90 to 110 in 1 year to 5 year, then 80 to 100 in 5 to 10 years of age group, and in more than 10 years it is 60 to 100. And sinus tachycardia is increase in the heart rate due to rapid firing of SA node in exercise or emotional state, fever or hypovolemia. And in fever, 1 degree centigrade rise in temperature leads to 10 beats per minute increase in heart rate. And similarly, bradycardia is decreased in heart rate. In newborn, heart rate less than 80 is bradycardia and more than 200 is tachycardia. And in child age group, heart rate less than 60 is bradycardia and more than 100 is tachycardia. Then relative bradycardia is a condition in which heart rate is lower than expected for given temperature, like in typhoid and brucellosis. And pulse deficit is difference of heart rate and pulse rate, and if it is more than 10, it is significant. Uh, Example is atrial fibrillation. So pulse deficit is number of heart contraction when force is not sufficient to create a pulse. Then next is pulse rhythm of the pulse, which can be regular rhythm or irregular rhythm. Irregular rhythm further divided into irregularly irregular and regularly irregular. Example of irregularly irregular pulse is atrial fibrillation, and example of regularly irregular is pulsus bigeminus or second degree AV block. Then next parameter is volume. So pulse volume is the degree of expansion displayed by artery during diastole and systole, and it is measured by pulse pressure. which is normal pulse pressure is uh, 30 to 60 mm of Hg, and pulse pressure is difference between systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. In pulse, this is normal pulse, normal volume pulse, and this is small volume pulse, and this is large volume, and this is pulsus alterans. Pulsus alterans has low and high volume pulse alternatively. Then every pulse has ascending anacrotic limb and one descending dicrotic limb. Anacrotic limb has two waves. One is P wave and second is P for percussion wave, and second is tidal wave. Both are separated with anacrotic notch. P wave is due to maximum left ventricle ejection force, and tidal wave is echo of P wave reflected by upper body part. Then in descending limb, at the end of systole, there is a dicrotic notch followed by a dicrotic wave. So dicrotic notch is due to reversal of blood flow at isovolumetric relaxation of left ventricle, and dicrotic wave is generated due to closure of the aortic valve and elastic recoil of aorta. And in a pulse, the height of this pulse is pulse pressure, and top of the pulse is correspond to systolic blood pressure, and baseline of the pulse is correspond to diastolic blood pressure. So height of the pulse is volume of the pulse or pulse pressure. Then types of pulse. Normal pulse has single peak and normal volume. Rest all three are abnormal double peaked or twice beating pulse. First is anacrotic pulse, which is low volume, slow rising, twice beating pulse, and both peak in systole. It is also called parvus et tardus. Parvus means low volume, and tardus means slow or slow rising. Then second is pulsus bisperens, which is rapidly rising, twice beating, both peak in systole. Same like anacrotic pulse, but it is rapid rising. So these are both are percussion and tidal wave with increased amplitude and prominent anacrotic notch. This prominent anacrotic notch is due to suction effect of initial high jet velocity blood column in conditions with high stroke volume. सो जब भी कोई हाई स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम और फास्ट जेट से ब्लड फ्लो होगा, तो उसके पीछे एक वेंचुरी इफेक्ट या सक्शन इफेक्ट होगा, जिसकी वजह से एक बार बीपी जस्ट डाउन होगा, फिर वापस रेज होके टाइडल वेव एंड देन रैपिडली कोलेप्सिंग पल्स स्टीप जो है डिसेंडिंग लिम होगा. सो दिस इज पल्सस बिस्फरेंस. तो डिफरेंस बिटवीन एनाक्रोटिक एंड पल्सस बिस्फरेंस इज रैपिड राइजिंग pulse and large volume pulse, whether anacrotic is slow rising and small volume pulse. Then dicrotic pulse is rapid rising, twice beating, and one peak in systole and one peak in diastole. This this is also a small volume pulse. So dicrotic pulse appear. Okay, one anacrotic pulse is seen in aortic stenosis. Then pulsus bisferens is seen in severe aortic regurgitation or AS plus AR or HOCM, where large stroke volume is there. And dicrotic pulse is seen where stroke volume is low or peripheral resistance is low, like in typhoid, myocarditis, and heart failure. So dicrotic pulse is also low volume pulse but it is rapid rising unlike anacrotic pulse, and twice beating but one peak in systole and one in diastole. Then pulsus alterans is alternative small and large volume pulse, and similar pulse is pulsus bigeminus. Both have alternate low and high volume pulse, but in addition, bigeminus has a pause between uh, after a fixed period. This is pause after a small and large volume pulse. Similarly, this is pause between two pulse. So it is found in second degree heart block. Next is pulsus paradoxus. Normally, there is a fall in systolic blood pressure during inspiration, and if it is exceeded by 10 mm of Hg, it is called pulsus paradoxus. So, what happens at inspiration? Decreased intrathoracic pressure lead to increased venous return in right atrium and ventricle, and it pushes the uh, septum towards left ventricle, which further causes the decreased filling of left ventricle. At the same time, expansion of lungs lead to pooling of the blood in pulmonary vasculature, which leads to decreased return of oxygenated blood in left side of heart. So there will be decreased stroke volume and decreased pulse amplitude during inspiration. So this is decreased amplitude of pulse during respiration and increased amplitude during expiration. So if it this difference crosses the limit of 10 mm of Hg, like condition like constructive pericarditis, cardiac tamponade, and COPD, it is called pulsus paradoxus. Because this same physiology is exaggerated in all these conditions, and difference become more than 10 mm of Hg. Next parameter are synchrony and equality of pulse. So normally there is no radio radial or radiofemoral delay, and radiofemoral delay is present in coarctation of aorta, and radio radial delay is present in subclavian artery occlusion or pre-subclavian coarctation of aorta. For equality, compare the pulse with opposite side in peripheral, all the peripheral pulses, but do not palpate both the carotid simultaneously. It may lead to impairment of blood flow to the brain and can lead to syncope. So this is how you have to describe pulse in exam. The pulse rate is 80 beats per minute, regular in rhythm, normal in volume and character. Vessel wall is not palpable. There is no radio radial or radio femoral delay, and all other peripheral pulses are palpable equally on both sides. Next is jugular venous pressure. So JVP is venous column of blood in internal jugular vein, which tells us about phagic changes in right side chamber of heart. And internal jugular vein has no wall and run a fixed course, and there is no muscle plane in the course of internal jugular vein. So pressure in this vein or JVP is indirect measure of CVP, and it tells us about phagic changes in pressure of right side of heart. So JVP is reflection of pressure changes in right side of heart, and arterial pulse is reflection of pressure changes in left side of heart. Right side JVP, left side arterial pulse. So normal JVP has three waves A, C, and V, and two descent, X descent and Y descent. A wave is due to atrial contraction. C wave is due to closure of cusp, tricuspid valve. Then X descent is due to atrial relaxation. V wave is due to venous filling or atrial filling. Then Y descent is due to opening of tricuspid valve. So all now abnormalities of JVP. Tall A wave can be seen in pulmonary stenosis and tricuspid stenosis due to atrial hypertrophy and forceful contraction of the atria. Then absent A wave can be seen in atrial fibrillation. Then Cannon or giant A wave seen in coordination between atria and ventricle when atrium contract against closed wall, like in complete heart block. Then large V wave with loss of X descent are seen in tricuspid regurgitation, and rapid Y descent is in severe tricuspid regurgitation and constructive pericarditis. Kussmaul sign is paradoxical rise in JVP during inspiration, like in constructive pericarditis and cardiac tamponade. It, it happened due to impaired filling of right ventricle in constructive pericarditis and cardiac tamponade. So, causes of raised GVP is right ventricular failure, tricuspid stenosis, pericardial effusion, cardiac tamponade, constructive pericarditis, and fluid overload. And causes of fixed and raised GVP is superior vena cava obstruction. How will you differentiate the carotid pulsation from jugular venous pulse or pulsation? So, carotid pulsation are palpable and JVP is non-palpable. JVP can be occluded with the thumb. Then JVP can be seen will be seen between both head of sternocleidomastoid, and carotid pulsation are felt just medial to sternocleidomastoid. JVP drops with respiration and there is no phasic changes in carotid pulsation. Then biphasic waveform is characteristic of JVP, and there will be no changes in carotid pulsation in erection and position, and JVP will drop on standing or erect position. So how will you measure the JVP? It is difficult to measure JVP in children below 5 years of age, and normal value for children more than 5 years is less than 9 centimeter of water. So keep the patient in 45-degree angle with head and neck adequately supported, and measure the vertical distance between the and the sternal angle and the upper border of oscillating top of blood column, and with the help of two scale. And now add 5 in this reading and it will give JVP in centimeter of S2O. This 5 centimeter is distance between sternal angle and center of the right atrium. So JVP is vertical height of blood column in internal jugular vein plus 5 centimeter. It should be less than 9 centimeter. Then hepatojugular reflex. Reflex is when you press the right hypochondrial area for 30 seconds so that the liver is compressed, Normally, this causes rise in JVP by less than 3 centimeter, and hepatojugular reflex is said to be elevated or present if JVP rises more than 3 centimeter and there is sustained rise in JVP for more than 15 seconds. Example are right heart failure and tricuspid regurgitation, and it is absent in Budd-Chiari syndrome. Auscultation is done for heart sound, murmur, and any added sound. Auscultatory area in the precordium are aortic area, which is right second intercostal space, just lateral to the sternum. Pulmonary area is left second intercostal space, just lateral to the sternum. Then Ups area is second, also called second aortic area, is in third intercostal space, just lateral to sternum. And the murmur of early diastolic murmur of aortic regurgitation and murmur of VSD is based here in Arps area, and Gibson's area is left second intercostal space away from the sternum, and murmur of the PDA is here based at this area in Gibson's area. Then tricuspid area is fourth intercostal space on left side just lateral to sternum, and mitral area is fifth intercostal space on mid clavicular line, and this is where the apex beat is. So first heart sound is produced by closing of mitral and tricuspid valve. This is mitral valve and this is tricuspid valve. And second heart sound is produced by closure of aortic and pulmonary valve. And after S1 is followed by isovolumetric contraction phase, and after isovolumetric contraction, aortic and pulmonary valve will open, and if there is aortic stenosis and pulmonary stenosis present, ejection click will be heard. Similarly, S2 is followed by isovolumetry relaxation, and after that mitral and tricuspid valve open, and if there is mitral stenosis or tricuspid stenosis present, then opening snap will be heard. So in abnormal heart sound, we have to see for intensity, then splitting of second heart sound, third and fourth heart sound if present, then ejection click or opening snap, and last is murmur. So intensity of the heart sound, loud heart sound, first heart sound is due to ventricular contractility or increased ventricular pressure will lead to forceful closure of mitral and tricuspid valve and result in loud S1, and increased separating distance between valve also leads to loud S1. Then soft heart sound will be produced with if distance between the stethoscope and heart is more like in pericardial effusion or pneumothorax or asthma, and and where improper approximation of valve like in mitral valve prolapse or tricuspid or mitral regurgitation. If there is decreased pliability of valve or decreased elasticity of valve, like in stenosis, it will lead to decreased or soft heart sound. So example of loud S1 is mitral stenosis, tricuspid stenosis, and short PR interval. All these three conditions are causing strong forceful atrial contraction, which leads to wide separation of cusp of mitral and tricuspid wall and result in loud S1. Then example of soft S1 is mitral regurgitation, tricuspid regurgitation, and long PR interval, because MR and TR leads to improper approximation of wall, and long PR interval lead to decreased distance between all the cusp. Then example of loud S2 is when aortic or pulmonary valve closed against high pressure, like in systemic hypertension and pulmonary hypertension. And soft S2 will be had in aortic stenosis and pulmonary stenosis due to decreased pliability of the wall. Now, splitting of S2. As discussed previously, in inspiration, venous return increases in right side of the heart, and pooling of blood in lungs leads to decreased return of oxygenated blood in left side of lung. So A2 comes early and P2 will be delayed more in inspiration in comparison to expiration. So second heart sound has two component. First is A2 and then P2. So normally split of second heart sound in expression is about 20 millisecond, and which is not appreciable, and while split in inspiration is approximately 80 millisecond, which can be appreciated. Then wide splitting of second heart sound with respiratory variability is seen in pulmonary stenosis and right bundle branch block, then VSD and MR. So there is wide split with respiratory variability. So in pulmonary stenosis and right bundle branch, there wide split is due to delay in P2, and in VSD and MR, A2 comes early, so there is wide split. And wide split of A2 without respiratory variability is seen in atrial septum defect and total anomalous pulmonary venous connection. So in both the condition, during inspiration, the contribution from superior vena cava is increased, and during expiration, contribution from atrial shunt is increased. Thus, the net right ventricular stroke volume remains constant throughout the respiratory cycle. So there will be no phasic changes in respiration, and wide splitting due to increased right ventricular stroke volume. Then paradoxical splitting is seen in aortic stenosis and left bundle branch block. So in this condition, there will be reverse splitting. Then abnormal heart sound. The third heart sound or S3 is produced due to rapid rush of blood from aorta, atria to ventricle, like in left to right shunt or mitral regurgitation or tricuspid regurgitation. And S4 is generated due to forceful atrial contraction against non-compliant or rigid ventricle, like in hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy and in severe aortic stenosis and severe pulmonary stenosis. Ejection click and opening snap already discussed. Phagic ejection click is seen in pulmonary stenosis. Right side heart ejection click with right side heart will be affected by respiration, and left side of heart will be non-phagic ejection click. There will be no respiratory variability. So phagic ejection click will be seen in pulmonary stenosis, and non-phagic ejection click in aortic stenosis. Then opening snap will be had in mitral stenosis and tricuspid stenosis. Now, murmur. The murmur are vibratory sound of diffuse frequency and intensity which is produced due to turbulence in the blood flow caused by abnormal valve or communication. And the intensity of the murmur depends on volume of the blood flow across the valve and the pressure gradient across which the blood flow occurs. So grade 1 murmur will be heard in quiet room by an expert examiner. Grade 2nd will be heard by most examiners. Grade 3rd is loud murmur but without thrill, and grade 4 is loud murmur with a thrill. Grade 5th is thrill with a very loud murmur, audible with stethoscope placed lightly over the chest. And grade 6 is thrill with a very loud murmur, audible even with the stethoscope slightly away from the chest. On the basis of timing, we can divide murmurs into systolic murmur, continuous murmur, and diastolic murmur. And further, systolic murmur is divided into pan-systolic, ejection systolic, early systolic, and late systolic. So, pan-systolic murmur starts from the S1 and present throughout the systole. And example are VSD, mitral regurgitation, and tricuspid regurgitation. Then ejection systolic murmur is crescendo, decrescendo, diamond-shaped murmur, and will be heard in pulmonary stenosis and aortic stenosis. So this ejection systolic murmur start after isovolumetric contraction. Then early systolic murmur is heard in small VSD, and after contraction of muscle, shunt will be closed and there will be no murmur after isovolumetric contraction phase. So it is decrescendo type of murmur. Then late systolic murmur is heard in HOCM and mitral valve prolapse, which start after in late systole and present up to the S2. Then continuous murmur heard in patent ductus arteriosus and ruptured sinus of Valsalva, and continuous murmur start from the systole and overlap the S2 and spill over into diastole and maintain the same character. Then early diastolic murmur heard in aortic regurgitation and pulmonary regurgitation, and it is also a decrescendo type of murmur. Then mid diastolic murmur heard in mitral stenosis and tricuspid stenosis with a opening snap. So any murmur associated with right side of heart will increase in inspiration, and any murmur associated with left side of heart will increases in expression, because blood flow increase in right side during inspiration and increase left side during expression. Then standing up will decrease the venous return, and most murmur will be decreased in intensity except HOCM and mitral valve prolapse. Similarly, squatting and straight leg rising will increase venous return, so all murmur intensity will be increased except mitral valve prolapse and hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. That is for today, and thank you. Stay home, stay safe.